Hi friends, welcome to our immigration show. Today we're talking about expedited removal orders. What this means is if possibly being removed or deported at the border. So you'll want to stay tuned so this doesn't happen to you, and if it has happened to you, then you can get answers. What do you do if you're refused entry at the border and receive an expedited removal order? At U.S. ports of entry, such as at the airport or crossing the border through land, the CBP has the authority to issue what's called an expedited removal order at the port of entry. And this is a lot of power. This gives them a lot of deference to basically give you a 5-year ban at the port of entry. These orders can have severe consequences for your ability to return to the US as a non-immigrant or immigrant. So it's really important that you understand how to avoid this, and that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. First of all, let's back up and talk about what is an expedited removal order. An expedited removal order is basically a quick removal order issued on a case-by-case basis at the port of entry. When an officer finds you inadmissible due to fraud or misrepresentation, or even just a proper lack of documentation. Now, the crazy part is they can deport you at the border within a day without having to go to immigration court. Normally in the US, you have the process of going to immigration court, but not in this particular situation when you're at the port of entry. Now, if you have the legal right to be the US because you're a US citizen, lawful permanent resident, refugee, or asylum seeker, you're not subject to expedited removal. What happens if you do receive an expedited removal order? Well, you'll receive a 5-year ban from being able to enter. During this period, you won't be able to obtain an immigrant or non-immigrant visa, but there are ways around that, which we're going to be talking about. In addition, if you're found inadmissible because of fraud or willful misrepresentation, you will receive a lifetime ban from the United States unless you get a waiver. Now, before issuing an expedited removal order, CBP officers will consider whether you qualify for a waiver, withdrawal of application, or deferred inspection. Now, first of all, we want to make sure that you try to avoid an expedited removal. So how do you do it? Now, the hard part is you're tired, you have that long flight, and you might just be tempted to just admit to any allegations to just get the whole process over with, because they often put you what's called secondary inspection. You're in this room. It's very intimidating, but it is very important to try to avoid an expedited removal order. Here are some tips if you find yourself in this situation. First of all, stay calm and don't get upset with the officer. Even though that might be challenging, you want to keep your cool. Be very mindful of what you state to the officer. Keep in mind whatever you state will be used against you depending upon what you state. If you're trying to enter the US as a visitor, prepare supporting documents that back up your claims and the purpose of your visit. This could be airline tickets, bank account statements, and property ownership documents. And don't remain silent or refuse to cooperate, but avoid lying. That's really important. Do not lie, and you don't have to provide too much information. If given the option, you might want to consider withdrawing your application for admission, especially if you have favorable factors. This could allow you to return to your home country where you can obtain proper documentation and avoid that 5-year ban. Now, this is really, really important. Be mindful of what you bring on the trip, because I've had many consultations where people come in and they say, oh, they searched my WhatsApp and they specifically looked for things, took it out of context, and gave me the expedited removal order. So be prepared for them to go through your WhatsApp, your text messages or whatnot, and look at other documentation that you are bringing into the United States. This could include job applications, birth certificates, other immigration related documents that all could raise a red flag because they're not really necessary for temporary travel. Now, if you are issued an expedited removal order, you're going to need to gather evidence and information that can help you challenge the order. And before you sign or initial any pages of that sworn statement, make sure you've had enough time to read it or have someone read it to you. If you spot any inaccurate information, request corrections, because once you sign that form I-867A and B and form I-831, you have confirmed that you read the statement, your answers are truthful and accurate, and the statement thoroughly and truthfully represents your interrogation. Okay, how do you challenge an expedited removal order? If you're unable to avoid the expedited removal order, you have two options to try to overcome it. One option is filing the I-212 application. Now, if the expedited removal order indicates you're inadmissible due to fraud or willful misrepresentation, you also have to obtain an I-601 immigrant waiver to return to the U.S. as an immigrant. Now, if you want to come as a non-immigrant, you'll need a non-immigrant waiver. These types of cases involve spouses who are going to be filing for their spouse abroad, and in that situation, you go through the whole what's called the immigrant visa process, which is filing for a green card abroad. So you have that, plus you have the waiver or the I-212 application as well. Once your Form I-212 is granted and any other required waivers are secured, you can re-enter the US despite being considered inadmissible as long as you have the appropriate travel documents such as a valid passport and the necessary visa. If you do unfortunately receive an expedited removal order, you can contact us at 916-613-3553. We're here to help you, and I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. By watching this video, you're bettering yourself. By bettering yourself, you're bettering your country, and by bettering the country, you're bettering the world. Thank you. Bye for now.